Khi phái mạnh chiến đấu đổ mồ hôi, da đầu sẽ càng nhờn ngứa. Và gầu có nguy cơ xuất hiện Clemen cấp.
the sound asleep. Something's gonna bring the change. Journeys we are meant to take. Something at the edge of space, calling us to fly away. Don't you be afraid, everything will change. You and I, jumping off the edge. They say dreamers never die. So come and fly, come and fly, come and fly away with me. We're rising, we're falling, we're making moves. We're climbing, we're soaring, 1,000 views. We're rising, we're falling, we're making moves. We're climbing, we're soaring, 1,000 views. Come and fly away, come and fly away, come and fly away with me. Come and fly away, come and fly away, come and fly away with me. Something's gonna bring the change. Journeys we are meant to take. Something at the edge of space, calling us to fly away.
Today's matchup. KT Rolster. SK Telecom T1. Beginning of the end. 2018 League of Legends Champions Korea Spring Split. Today's matchup. KT Rolster. SK Telecom T1. Beginning of the end. 2018 League of Legends Champions Korea Spring Split.
Welcome back, guys, to OGN's LCK Spring 2018. I'm still Atlas, and he is still Papa Smithy, and we've been sitting around for an hour waiting for the Telecom War, and it is finally here. A whole lot of changes since the last time we saw these two teams battle it out last year.
There's a lot of change, not necessarily in terms of lineup, although SK Telecom, of course, have played around with theirs a lot. The big story is that because it's at the start of the season, because there were missteps by both KT Rolster and SK Telecom in Week 1, we can't sit here and say this is first versus second. It may evolve to be that both these teams are trying to get into second gear and a win over these old enemies, this rivalry that is extended through esports, the StarCraft days, most famously StarCraft 1 and StarCraft 2, and now into League of Legends. This rivalry has gone on for so long. It is a bloody one, and one team will come away with a match victory and also the confidence for the next match this week.
Exactly, this is all about momentum, and speaking of which, SKT certainly had a long one against Jin Air. If you guys are watching the series against MVP, they can still do quick games, but the 94-minute blockbuster certainly was one for the ages, and Bang did a hell of a lot of damage.
The damage numbers, we saw the CS numbers earlier. Not sure if we're going to go over all of them, but at least good reading for Bang, who on the Ezreal was doing very, very well. You remember his first Ezreal game of the season popped off as well. He will still select it if it is available here. Another fun stat to look at. SK Telecom got 6 Barons in a game and lost, Atlas.
Yes, they did. I mean, I feel like this is a stat that you don't necessarily really want to see that much, although, is that all of the Barons that they got, or all Barons combined? I don't know how many Barons really actually died in
I
that
believe
series.
there might have
Probably
been
a huge number.
7 or 8.
Yeah.
But 6 was by SKT, which is a whole hell of a lot for a losing team. Of course, their frustration at going 5-man headfirst into the ricochet from Teddy, something that people who watched that series last week will never forget. And you look at the rosters, it is 3rd versus 5th, but because we only just had our first team play 3 matches, there are so many teams at 1-1, including KT Rolster and SK Telecom T1.
Yeah, Jin Air, of course, moving up to that second place after their 2-0 victory, but MVP holding strong at the very bottom of the table after our first match of the day. But like you say, middle of the pack is certainly a very far-reaching one. So, of course, KT Rolster being 3rd and SK Telecom being 5th doesn't mean much at all.
And we have equal 5th, BBQ, SKT, Kingzone, and Rocks Tigers. Some big teams, some evolving teams. We don't know about the directions yet. Because there's so much parity, we can't talk about who's going up and who's going down, even between KT and SKT. But it will be kind of a watershed moment for both squads. One team will have won the Telecom War, be confident at the end of this week. The other team will be staring on down the barrel of a 1-2 start to the season they wouldn't have seen coming.
Yeah, and you have to think about it in terms of what were the last matches played as well. SK Telecom losing what was the longest series of League of Legends that I've ever experienced in my entire life, and KT Rolster actually getting that 2-0 over MVP does mean that momentum is in favor of the team on your screen right now. Unfortunately, guys, Rush isn't going to make his way out for the first game of the day. We're still holding out hope, of course. It is just your general KT Rolster we've come to know and love that have been up and down.
Yeah, the kind boy wasn't assertive enough. Too kind, couldn't get the starting roster. Feels bad, man.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Score will be there. We'll see if his smites are a bit more on point. In game 1 that KT played, he was a bit too aggressive against Afrika Freaks and was outclassed by Spirit in that game. Next time out, he was better, but then Smeb, their new shot caller, who in the 2018 season is leading this KT Rolster over Mata, had a couple too many dive-ins. He was just a bit too greedy, a bit solo queue-esque, we said about Smeb last time out. So even though it was 2-0 over MVP, it wasn't the obliteration that we saw in the previous series from Jin Air. So still things to work on for KT.
Yeah, certainly some struggles, but if you look over the other side, which is where we're going to go right now, SK Telecom T1 coming off that loss that we were just talking about, it isn't going to be your best boy in the jungle this time. It's going to be Blank back in there. This guy's an actual jungler. Wolf going to be taking some time off, minding the bench for the moment, but he might be playing Blank duty to come in later in the series.
It's that weird point where if you missed week 1, you think, of course this is the roster, but we had Wolf in the jungle, who has played more games than Blank. Blank only played the first and second game of SKT's season so far, so we finally see him back in, trying to actually show that he can be a starting jungler. We can certainly see his value off the bench when he sees the pathing of the enemy jungler. Has done a number on score multiple times in the past, but as a starter, unproven. And Untara was also subbed out. It was Tal that played in that 94-minute extravaganza. Looking at the match history here, if conditioning is relevant, SKT definitely had the longest series to have to get over, but the players all looked in good spirits, as we noticed, walking past the booths. So we'll see how SKT look today. It feels like for both these teams, we really are no closer to understanding what 2018 KT Rolster or SKT are about. KT still had their struggles in the late game, but they haven't cemented a style. SKT have kind of had this kind of revolving door of players. You know, it feels like Wolf is now a flex, support, and jungle substitute. So we're unsure what he would do. Is Blank certainly had a good KDA when he did play.
Yeah, this tennis racket's looking well and truly in favor of SKT, but does mean that, you know, there's less sample size for a lot of these massive KDAs.
I mean, they have a big KDA because everyone kind of looked pretty good in that 90-minute game. They've had long games.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of the stats are going to be skewed to SKT, but this one is well-deserved. Ever since this KT Rolster lineup has come together, they have never won a best-of-3 or a best-of-5 against SKT T1. If you look over the match history here, 2-2-1 victories in spring, a 3-0 victory in the finals of LCK Spring, 2 more 2-1. So in best-of-3s, it has always been 2-1. And then the heartbreaker, the reverse sweep by SK Telecom to match the reverse sweep by the previous KT Rolster lineup. 2 years in a row in Summer Gauntlet, a reverse sweep. This one was for SKT, went on to make the World Final. And now we look at Blank, and you look at the names that actually populated the jungle during these matches. You see a whole lot of Peanut, and you see Peanut starting 5 out of 5.
Yeah. And also Peanut losing in both of those games, equaling the Blank 3-in-a-row reverse sweep. This was when Blank was really going nuts as well.
He was the closer, right? You have to call him the closer. It's worth noting, as you can see on your screen, that Blank has never lost domestically against KT Rolster since the start of 2017. So it is a win streak, but there is a huge advantage to coming off the bench. Not being the starter gives you that extra time with Koma. Now with Coach Bengi, I imagine Wolf will be watching with his old teammate and getting some information on how score is starting. Could come in, and then we get to look at AD carry matchup. A matchup for the ages. 2 all-time greats of the AD carry role, Deft and Bang. Numbers don't look good for Deft. It hasn't been a fantastic season for him. The Varus pick has been his most reliable. We know he can play the Cog more. We don't talk about the Vayne game, or he forgot QSS was an item. Whereas Bang, it has Ezreal. Even in the defeat, the 2 games of Bang Ezreal have been a treat.
Yeah, and he almost did 40,000 more damage than his lane opponent in that loss against Jin Air as well. So having a look at score,
How cool a stat is this? It is his 400th game in the LCK, the only player to play in the first ever tournament that OGN ran, the Invitational, before even Champions was a thing, right in January 2012. 6 years later, he is back, still trying to fight, still trying to find his first title.
Wow.
But when it comes to the Telecom war, the fans are going with the percentages. 72% say SK Telecom will win on this day, even with SKT coming off that famous loss to Jin Air Green Wings.
Just shows that the history of SKT always having the number of KT is well and truly in the minds of all of the fans. I was expecting that one to be a little bit closer, but I'm often one of the believers. You know, we go into these Telecom wars, and half the time we're like, KT has the form, KT can do this, but just never the case, especially if you're looking at last year.
Korean fans love winners, and a lot of these KT players are winners on other teams, but not on KT. So to get that extra burst, to get the fan expectation, they have to win Atlas. If they win here, they will snap that losing streak as this roster of 5 against SKT. But SKT are definitely going to be annoyed. They are coming off a loss they would never have expected. The Telecom war is always its own delight. Even in a vacuum, it's massive. But at this point in the season, with both teams trying to strive to find a place on this ladder, get right up to the top, we get to start it off here.
And we're going to start it off with the Rise Band as well as we head into Champion Select. Ladies and gentlemen, Not going to be seeing that one out of Faker. His rise has been so incredibly strong, even against champions that should theoretically be able to poke him. It doesn't matter. He's standing on the enemy caster creeps, smacking your face in. Kog'Maw not going to be seen by Deft as well, of course. Has let that one through once of other teams, but he has been able to pick up the wins there.
And KT were actually banning Deft away from the Kog'Maw. They've been banning it on blue and red side, even with Deft, probably one of the most famous Kog'Maw players of all time. So
yeah.
Certainly going to find some firepower. The first pick Ezreal looking more and more likely. Varus, Kalista, Kog'Maw already razor-sharp focus on the AD carry pool. Deft has always said his favorite AD carry to play is the Ezreal. So that's a very likely first pick, unless KT or SKT have other ideas, and now we're really setting up the Ezreal. It seems an obvious ban, but then Sejuani is a big first pick for score.
Yeah, Tristana also raises in stock value as well as we thin this pool.
Caitlyn also.
Yeah, Caitlyn, very, very true. And Deft, KT have almost been the best Caitlyn composition team in the world. You know, they're fantastic at navigating that early game. Ezreal is going to be banned, so what is the choice going to be here?
Sejuani's a really big one. I think Tristana and Caitlyn are around similar power levels, so you don't need to necessarily do anything crazy there, so they will just first pick the Sejuani. Both Deft and Bang have their pocket
in the
picks.
world.
Twitch is a big pick for both of them.
Navigating
when
that
their
early
backs
game.
are against the
Ezreal
wall,
is going to be banned,
if they leave
so
AD carry for second round, we're starting
Sejuani's
a really big one. I think Tristana and Caitlyn are around similar power levels, so you don't need to necessarily do anything crazy there, so they will just first pick the
Tahm Kench is going to
Sejuani.
be there if Mata does want to try and answer some of the melee support that has been going on. I want to see Mata on the Alistar. After seeing what Wraith was capable of in our earlier series, watching Gorilla play yesterday as well, I feel like Mata does have something to prove, but the Gnar is going to be locked in. SKT not going to be able to get that Gnar Rise combo that we've been seeing so much in the LCK, but certainly strong top lane and certainly strong blind pick coming out of Antara.
Support pool, like you say, may have to be picked up here. Taric is a big popular pick, but sort of thing where if you don't have a Sivir to guarantee positioning, you can start getting kited out. And, well, we saw the Khan Jace Smeb, but most likely going to be on Jace. Pawn has played it as well, so chance of it being a flex pick, but expected to be Jace into the Gnar as we're going for the style picks from the past.
Stop playing with our hearts, Pawn. That's not very fair. You've already got your Jace locked in, theoretically.
He's already played it mid, and we've seen it top lane from Smeb in previous Telecom Wars, so they're just going for a bit of the mind games. Caitlyn and Tristana makes a lot of sense, and no one's really prioritizing Xayah, is at least a little bit surprising, given that other teams have. The Jace against Gnar was how Khan just completely obliterated his opposition yesterday against the Afrika Freaks against Keen. So we're thinking it's going to be Jace top.
But it could be a different story, though, because Antara, we have been giving him a bit of a hard time. I mean, this guy hasn't really been a standout player. You can't look past the fact that he's 100% win rate on this champion and has a 34 KDA. Has only died once out of the 3 times that he has played this champion. So certainly will be a more difficult story than against Keen.
With counterpick, Antara has been strong. With Gnar, in general, like you say, 3-0 is great reading. He is counterpicked by the Jace. It's going to require attention from Blank on whichever jungler he's going to be visiting. Can already see a Jarvan ban. If you look at solo queue, Blank has largely been playing mid.
Ra theo kiểu như thế nào.
Là một người chơi đường trên thuộc top của LCK thì cái vấn đề sử dụng dây như thế nào có lẽ chúng ta không cần phải bàn cãi quá nhiều khi đây là Smeb. Tristana lựa chọn của bang trong ván đấu này đấy cặp cùng với lại Brom của eSport. Tôi không biết là trong khoảng thời gian vừa qua khi tập luyện cùng với eSport thì có giống như cái thời tập luyện khi mà anh ta thi đấu cùng với Wolf hay không. Để xem ván này đối đầu với cặp bot cực mạnh của KT là Po cùng với Deft thì bang sẽ thể hiện như thế nào. Đến với phay cấm thứ hai, như tôi dự đoán thì khi đối đầu với KT Rolster không ai muốn để cho Smeb đánh sen cả. Và quyết định của họ là cấm sen, trước đó là cấm đi Azir của Po. Bên phía bên này KT Rolster quyết định tước đi Javan của Blank cũng như là Zoe của Faker cũng đã bị loại khỏi ván đấu này.
Đầu
vậy
tiên
giữa chúng ta sẽ còn lại gì đây?
Còn lại không
Manzaha, Cassiopeia
là 2 vị tướng có thể được suy nghĩ tới. Manzaha sẽ mạnh hơn ở trong thời điểm này dành cho SKT. Đúng vậy. Chúng ta phải chờ đợi thôi, bởi vì lựa chọn thứ 4 của SKT là Nidalee dành cho Blanc. Một vị tướng mà cá nhân anh ta cũng đã không sử dụng quá nhiều ở trong mùa giải năm ngoái, bởi vì cái lối chơi của anh ta là thiên về kiểm soát, rất là giống Mengi. Nhưng bỗng nhiên ngày hôm nay anh ta quyết định chọn một cái vị tướng tấn công mạnh mẽ hơn ở trong khu vực đường. khi mà đối thủ của anh ta là một vị tướng tương đối là tương đối là chậm chạp, Sioni.
Để xem Play sẽ thi đấu như thế nào với một người có khả năng đi rừng kiểm soát cực mạnh, đó là Score với Sioni. Với các bạn thì Sioni có những cấp độ đầu và sát thương vào giữa và cuối ván đấu sẽ được đảm bảo rất là nhiều với cái lớp giáp gió của Shanna kết hợp cùng với lượng sôi sục. Còn đường giữa, tôi không biết là đây là Galio đường giữa hay là đường trên nữa, nhưng khả năng cao sẽ là đường giữa của For đúng không?
Đúng rồi.
Thì quyết định của Faker là đánh một DPS, có 2 DPS đường giữa có thể sử dụng được, đó là Cassiopeia cùng với lại Corki. Thì quyết định của Faker đó là mang lại xạ thủ Corki.
Chúng ta đã nói cái điều này từ mùa giải năm ngoái khá là nhiều, khi mà bạn có Rome trong đội hình của mình, đội hình 2 xạ thủ phát huy được sức mạnh rất là lớn với lại Rome. Và đây là một đội hình khá là đẹp của SKT với nguồn sức mạnh tăng tiến về cuối trận đấu ở ngưỡng 2 trang bị rất khủng khiếp, vô cực kiếm và dao điện của Tristana, 8 hợp kiếm và một món trang bị nữa của Corki ở đường giữa. Đây là ngưỡng 2 trang bị rất mạnh của SKT. Trong khi đó ngược lại KT, họ là đội hình giao tranh tổng rất mạnh với Sioni, với Galio kết hợp chung với nhau, và họ sẽ tấn công lên khu vực đường trên, nơi mà Zay ở đường trên chắc chắn sẽ là người làm chủ được thế trận.
Cả hai đều đã hoàn thiện đội hình của mình. Gương mặt của 10 tuyển thủ sẽ góp mặt ở trong ván thi đấu đầu tiên, cuộc chiến siêu kinh điển thứ hai